Hello and welcome to Films and That, the show we talk about films that usually don't get talked about.
What happened there? You're doing fine.
I forgot what I normally say. But
You literally go, my name is Rob Turnbull. That was the next bit. Your name.
Hello and welcome to Films and That, the show where we talk about films that usually don't get talked about. My name is Rob Turnbull.
My name's Sam Hall.
Sam, what are we looking at this week?
This week it's The Sweet Smell of Success. Press agent Sidney Falco uses blackmail in order to curry favour with his most well-regarded, though hard to please, customer, J.J. Hunsecker, a media mogul with the power to make or break people. However, J.J.'s desire to interfere with his sister's life is a step too far for the morally bankrupt Sidney.
J.J., I need you in for 2 minutes.
Mac. Yes?
I don't want this man at my table. I've got a message from your sister.
This review contains spoilers. Tony Curtis plays Sidney Falco, a press agent who's trying to get articles in the paper. This particular paper he's trying to get into is owned by J.J. Hunsecker.
J.J. is effectively the Rupert Murdoch of his day. Sidney is kind of like a spin doctor, I guess. Public relations is his business, but he does it in a manner that's of low morals, and he's willing to do anything, including blackmail people, to get where he wants to. It's very much a film where the centre of the driving force of it, I think, is the dialogue. And the kind of the match cut visuals and the acting and the gestures.
But Sidney.
But what?
That makes 5 days in a row Mr. Hunsucker's cut you out of his collar.
May I rent you out as an adding machine? Get me Joe Robard.
I want to mention briefly how succinct the storytelling is. Like the first time I watched it, the opening credits, it's just the opening credits, I don't really need to pay attention. But then when I watched it again, there's everything you need to know about the setup of the story is in the opening credits. While the credits are happening, you see
images of JJ and his newspapers, and
you get a sense of how important the newspapers are, and just the hive of activity, and just they are crucial to the media setup at that point. Sidney then gets a paper straight off the lorry as soon as it's printed, so he's on the street level. He has to pay for it. He doesn't get anything for free. He has to work at it, and then he reads it. He doesn't get what he wants, and he just throws the paper in the bin. That's just a really great little setup that only takes maybe 30 seconds to a minute or something.
No need for dialogue as well.
Exactly, yeah. That's just echoed throughout the entire film for me. There isn't a second that's wasted in this film. There's no lingering long shots or kind of dialogue that's just spurious and you don't need to listen to it. Everything's been thought out. It's a very interesting film to watch.
Well, I'm no hero. I'm nice to people where it pays me to be nice. Look, I do it enough on the outside, so don't expect me to do it in my own office. I'm in a bind right now with Hunsecker.
There's not a great deal to the plot. It's a good plot, but like I say, it's built around the acting and the dialogue.
Yeah, and it's built around all the schemes that not just Sidney is going through, but everyone seems to have their own agendas and all trying to blackmail and kind of screw over everyone else. You
do get a sense there's only 2 innocent people in the film. No, that's not true. There are a few people innocent, but even there's one character, a minor character called Rita, who Sidney effectively pushes her into prostituting herself to someone in order to get what she wants. You get the sense, that even though she's the victim of this, probably there's things she's done in the past that he could use against her. You get things like that.
And naturally.
You were thrilled about being interviewed. And were you interviewed?
And he's a partner.
The only real innocent characters are Hunsecker's sister and the guitarist, who, as far as we know anyway, have done nothing unscrupulous.
I do get the sense that they're not doing these things because they're evil. Like, I don't think Sidney's doing it because he's evil or he wants to hurt people. He's just so desperate. He's been trying for so long to get ahead.
But he's clearly a clever guy. There's one scene when he fictionalizes a phone call. He rings up his secretary and then just starts pretending that he's talking to JJ, just to try and show that he's trying to please his clients.
That's a great bit though, because it's a callback to the other scene, isn't it? The one that happens before it. It's like a new upcoming act, isn't he? Or something, and JJ's going to put him in the paper tomorrow. Sidney sees this and then he goes to that act that day and says, oh, I'm such a great press agent that I can get you in the paper tomorrow, just one phone call.
JJ, hi. Sidney Falco. How are you, sweetheart? Fine. Is it too late to add something to your column?
Sidney, Tony's character, is probably one of his best acting roles. And one of the really memorable things about it is that he was told to look uncomfortable all the time, and that really does come across. You know, he's frequently pacing. Even when he's sat down, he looks like he's sat down uncomfortably, because he's constantly nervous, because he feels like he's, in terms of his career, he could be ruined at any minute.
And one standout scene for me where this happens is when we first meet JJ, he doesn't want to see Sidney at that point, and he's talking to some other clients of his, and Sidney just kind of weasels his way in and to sit next to him, and he's just kind of slightly out of shot, looking uncomfortable, while JJ essentially berates his customers and slags them off.
It's one long scene, and it's probably the most memorable scene of the film. There's a few, but it really does stand out. You know, it's like the villain reveal. You know, it's the moment Darth Vader walks in.
Yeah, it is.
With a simple flick of the switch, I could shut out the greedy murmur of little men.
So it's a wonder that he's not viewed as one of the classic villains, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've not heard of him before I watched this.
No. Which is, you know, one of the reasons why we're talking about it. Burt Lancaster plays it with a kind of cold, dead-eyed stare all the way through. Frequently doesn't even look at the people he's talking to, even if he is looking at them. You know, there's that sense that he commands that kind of power.
Well, this young lady is Miss Linda James. She's managed by Manny Davis.
I know Manny Davis. Everyone knows Manny Davis. Except Mrs. Manny Davis.
There's a lot of that in there. There's really great lines and really great dialogue. Like you were saying, it must be great to be an actor, but to have those lines to say and deliver in, you know, with real kind of bitterness.
It's brilliantly delivered, but it feels a bit unnatural as well, because it's just so witty and it's so clever, and everything has a double meaning. You know, people never talk like that in real life. But you're sat there thinking, well, hang on a minute, let me think about that for a minute, and then the next part, you know, the next part of the plot is going along, and it's quite difficult to keep up with it.
Frank, I think maybe you lied to me.
There's a lot of attention paid to the music in this film, I feel.
Yeah, lots of jazz, lots of cool swing music. It's very upbeat, and it makes me want to be there. Even though it's such a horrible and depressing kind of climate and atmosphere to work in, just the music just kind of makes you want to, hey, it's all funky.
I guess it's better than the world of Hard to Be a God. You know, got to give it that.
Yeah. There's a really nice kind of crescendo that stuck out for me was when, do you remember JJ, when he's looking out over the city, and he's kind of like, he's started his machinations essentially at this point. He's started his plans of kind of screwing people over, and it's this really epic swing music builds, and he looks out over the city. It's very 50s. It reminds me of just kind of like film noir and stuff like that.
I've always had trouble with the idea of film noir, because there was always a sort of, all right, this is a film noir, it's about detectives and femme fatales. None of that's in this, you know. But it has a noirish, you know, especially in the lighting, things like that, you know. It's effectively a noir film, I suppose.
Do you want to talk about the sweet smell of success line that he says?
I'm toasting my favorite new perfume. Success.
That's the right moment before he just completely falls and loses everything, and he's back on the street again. He gets success for such a small, little, minute bit of the film. It's quite depressing.
You know, I think there is an element of a morality tale about it. Right at the end, he's still spouting the bullshit. He's still saying, you got to be tough, you got to do, you know, you got to get ahead, and you can't be nice to people. And then she goes to jump out of the window, and then suddenly, you know, he's like, oh shit, what have I done? You know, and you see that human side.
Do you want to move on to the end? What did you think of Sweet Smell of Success?
I thought it was brilliant. If you're like me, I guess you might find it boring in the first watch, but you've got to watch it again to really appreciate it.
Did you find it boring?
Very no, not only in the respect that a lot of, because of the way my brain's tuned, you know, to being so used to the superhero films and things like that of the modern era, you know, that it's just the brain getting used to it, I think. But no, I think it's brilliant. I
love those kind of films. I'm really a big fan of Humphrey Bogart and those film noirs of that era. So this really fitted into me for what the kind of films I like. But yeah, I was thoroughly entertained throughout. I think it's really worth a watch.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We agreed on that one then.
Okay, that's it for this time on Films and That. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, we'll see you next time.
Next time.